What's up, Love Bay family? Your girl is back, queen of the hour and host of the Mental Health Hour, Felicia Fischhoff, founder of Rooted in Resilience, Psychotherapy and Wellness. You already know this is where we keep it real, keep it respectful, and keep it all the way honest. It is Barbershop Tuesday, and tonight's topic, the weight we carry, what men bring into relationships. We're getting into it. The the upbringing, the heartbreak, the silent expectations, and how brothers can start putting some of that weight down. And my kings, I didn't come alone. The dream team is back. Matthew Paris, our community voice, a creative entrepreneur and digital strategist who brings heart, honesty, and lived experience to every conversation. Kunle Ifabiyi, a therapist and social worker, reminding us that true strength starts when we show up and speak our truth. Josh Dale, trauma therapist and all around wisdom dropper, blending compassion, insight, and a little humor to help men grow. Andrew Peterkin, the cultural lens and steady voice, guiding men to unpack struggles and reconnect with their inner strengths. Now, listen, family, this conversation is going to be powerful, but it's not therapy. If you need personal support, please reach out to a qualified professional in your area. Here's what I need you to do. If you know someone who needs to hear this tonight, tag them, text them, share this link right now. And don't just watch in silence. The live chat is open, so drop your thoughts, questions, and encouragements as we go. So let's go, Love Bay family. Kings, pull up. Queens, lean in. This is Barbershop Tuesday on the Mental Health Hour.
Yay.
Here we go again.
Here we
This is
go
good.
again.
Yes. Round two. Let's do it.
Round two. So welcome back. I'm just so grateful to have you guys on our panel because I love your voice. I love what you have to say. And I know that our Love Bay family loves to hear your voices too. And, tonight the topic is the weight we carry, what men bring into relationships. You know that I'm going to ask the question, why does the Love Bay family need to hear about this topic tonight? Who wants to start?
I could start us off. So I think it is a very powerful topic because it's one we don't talk about enough as a society. And, we reiterated some of this in our first Barbershop Tuesday. It's not talked about often. And you find it on certain podcasts and certain forums. But I think we need to share more of that. We all carry weight, but men, society, things that we were taught as, growing up, things that we were taught as men from culture, from our parents, from our friends, touching on topics of what it means to be a man and what that means in relationships. We're supposed to be the leaders. We're supposed to, look over our home. We're supposed to provide. We're supposed to carry so many different things, and we don't really name it. We don't really identify it. And people wouldn't fully understand what goes through the mind of a man sometimes. And in most cases, it's a lot of, I'm not good enough. I have to be the best father. How do I become a better husband? How do I steward my home? How do I lead my family to Christ? How do I show up in my work and in my office? And just, I look forward to just expanding on this with the team and diving into this topic. So, yeah.
I think I echo what Matthew was saying, and I think it sums up in the title of weight when he was talking about I got to be this, I got to do this. I think weight is the word. I think oftentimes you carry a weight from expectations, from stereotypes, from these
Mm,
things. And it really is. It's not just things we bring in. It's not just learn things. It can be this weight that we bring into relationships. And sometimes we're not taught of how to carry it, how to shed some of that weight, how to deal with some of that weight being taken off. And so sometimes we just silently struggle with this weight that we bring into relationships. And over time, if we're not dealing with it, we just add more weight and we add more weight. And what happens with men, which we hear often, is we suffer in silence. So we're just carrying that weight and we're suffering. Oh, I got to continue on. I can't struggle. I can't be
mm,
weak. I got to keep going. More weight gets added. More weight gets added. And we just suffer in silence, which is why I think a radio time like this with brothers that we get to share can resonate with people, resonate with men of how we carry that weight, but also it can give some tips, some ideas, some community to, hey, how do we deal with this weight? How do we start shedding this weight? How do we disperse this weight? How do we help another person carry it? How do I help my brothers here carry this kind of weight? And so I think that word weight is super important in the title. Anyone
mm,
else? Anyone else have thoughts on that idea of weight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I do agree. I think a lot of times there's a lot of pressure, like in providing and being a good, um, making enough money, taking care of your children. Like there's all this pressure on a lot of men, and it causes a lot of stress. Um, and I think it's important to like have these conversations to learn how to deal with some of that pressure and that stress differently. Um, I think because a lot of the clients that I've worked with, because I do work with clients who've had motor vehicle accidents, they have other issues and they have injuries and they can't do what they used to do. Um, and there's still this pressure on them that like, no, you need to be making this much money to be a man. You need to be doing this to be a man. And then they feel like they're not bringing enough into the relationship because of their injuries or because of their health. So I think it's important to have these discussions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo what everyone has said. It's really important to have this conversation because historically, society has thought of what it means to be a man. And in our days today, there seems to be this ambiguity. Who is a man? What's the need of a man in a relationship? What does a man bring? In the past, maybe it's been man provide, and that's all you do.
Yep.
In our days today, both men and women are out working, both providing, and sometimes we tend to, what's the use of a man? If and even men are asking themselves these questions. What's my purpose? What's my essence? What's my use? If things can go on, if I'm not there, and yeah, this brings a lot of weight just on people's minds and trying to figure out what's my is my contribution even being seen? The sacrifices, my provisions, is that being recognized? Because oftentimes when it comes to relationship, s- most times it tends to be tailored towards the woman. Starting from dating, proposal, it's all about the woman to make the woman happy. The wedding, it's the woman's day. The man is just in the background. When the baby comes, it's the woman and the baby. The man is just in the background. And oftentimes, like, is there really space for what's the role of the man in the relationship? Should we focus on him? Is it relevant? Or do we just keep focusing on the mom and the baby and just keep putting him in the backside? So these are weights that men carry, and wondering, do I have permission to actually talk about the weights that I carry? Do I have permission to express and share? So we're going to be getting into some of that today and be able to talk about these things.
Wow, you guys are just going deep right off the bat.
Right
Wow.
away.
I
Dive
love
right into
it.
it.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. So I'm hearing not only do men carry a weight, but it's almost like there's a need and a desire to also be seen, that their contributions are also valid. And they are valid, right? But uh, let's dig a little bit deeper, right? So when you talk about the weight, let's describe what this weight looks like and feels like.
I think someone mentioned it's that pressure, right? There's always a pressure, always an expectation. And not saying women don't go through that as well, but But as we're talking about men here, there is a pressure and an expectation. With some of the clients that I work with, it's always the need to go, 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 and they can't complain or they can't vent. They can't be like, hey, I have to put this off. I got to take care of myself. I got to breathe. There seems to be this pressure of fixing or creating or providing or doing without struggle, right? Without wavering, without faltering. And so I think that can be an added pressure. Maybe that's sustainable for a little period of time, but on a longevity scale of keeping that up time and time again. I have men that, from the age of 19 to 60 plus on my caseload, and you hear some of these men that have been carrying this pressure, and think of pressure builds over time. It can completely drain them. And then what happens is, as you suffer in silence with that pressure, this can build all sorts of resentments. This can build things of missed opportunities, missed dreams. And then you have someone that is even at 60 years old being like, I have regrets. I didn't get to do some certain things. I didn't get to share. I didn't get the love that I wanted. I didn't
Wow.
I didn't complete certain things. And so I think the big word here that I'm thinking about in terms of weight, what it feels like, it's this pressure that you carry over time that you can't speak about, you can't get rid of. It's just like a companion that kind of digs into you, and it's this weight. It is that weight. There's that word again. It's that weight that you carry, and I think
Mm.
it's difficult when we have to feel like we got to suffer in silence.
Yeah, yeah. I
100%.
even as you were talking about pressure, I was thinking about like cooking in a pressure pot, right? And
Yeah.
like it gets hot, it starts boiling, and you have to let the steam out slowly, right? But if you take it off like really quickly, like everyone gets burned. Right? So like I think a lot of times like a lot of men are under a lot of pressure and under a lot of stress, and then they start hurting a lot of people around them. And a lot of times they don't feel like they're good enough in the relationship. They don't feel like they're doing enough. Um, no one's telling them like, "Oh, great job! Like I'm proud of you." It's just like you're doing what you're supposed to do, so keep doing it. Um, and there's no real validation, and yeah, like over time, like not feeling good enough, not feeling accepted, not feeling loved, that does a lot to somebody.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
no wonder like men's suicide rates are so high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the highest globally, right? You
Yeah.
know, I always like to recognize June is Men's Mental Health Month. You don't hear anything about it. You hear select few people doing it, but every other month that has their thing, it's blasted everywhere.
Yeah.
So you see this in society where it's silencing the importance of men, silencing the mental health of men. Why? Why is that so silent? And you know, it's Andrew, to expand on what you mentioned. I think there's two sides to pressure. I think, you know, it's not all negative, because there's a positive side to pressure where it's okay to carry weight. Not all weight is destructive. You know, you learn and build in discipline and loyalty and resilience, and you have that sense of responsibility. And I think men thrive in that. And one of the things you mentioned, Andrew, I think it's in society for both men and women, we have separated from showing that appreciation, separated from verbally and through action. And I think the weight becomes even more bearable when you are carrying it and there's no appreciation for it. I
Yeah.
think that adds more than
Yeah.
what you're already bearing. And yeah.
Absolutely. Silencing the pain that men feel. So yeah, our conversation today is try to do the opposite of that, to not silence, to speak about it, to give voice, to hold space, and to let men everywhere know that you have permission to talk about those things. Society from childhood, men are told not to cry, or told to tough it up, or learned to just keep it in. Um, Oftentimes a lot of people are even uncomfortable hearing a man talk about what he's going through. Like it feels, even women, some women find that unattractive. So
Yes.
men don't want to be unattractive. We tend to just bottle it up and act like everything is okay. And like Andrew Matthew said, yes, it skyrockets suicide just in men, the highest in the world. So we want to talk about this old space, share, and let people know your pain, the weight you carry is valid, and it needs to be talked about. We need to let that pressure out gently, because if you bottle it up, the pressure cooker is going to explode. So we want to talk about it. That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Miss Crazylicious is back, guys. So,
Back. Hey, we appreciate it. We love it.
We love
yes.
you.
So they have two questions. So the first is, how have cultural or societal expectations shaped your views of masculinity, vulnerability, and other factors that connect to how y'all carry that weight?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's been very black and white of I think Kunle said it, very black and white of what makes a man, right? And again, as you get into culture and you get into society, and as you actually kind of combine the two, man gets put in this kind of box or this black and white picture. Here's what a man is. Kunle already said it. A man doesn't cry. A man, I think of like a man doesn't complain about the weight that he has to carry. It is his duty, and so he must do it, and he must be proud to do it, and proud to, because he is supporting and he's providing and he's carrying a family and all these kind of things, and when you take that, and I think of like you roll a snowball down a hill and it just picks up more and more. And so as
Yeah.
society and culture has gone on, it's just kind of that has strengthened, it's grown. This is what a man is, and it's a powerhouse, and we're not going to stop how we see who men are. And so we want to disrupt that weight or that snowball that has been going on, and be like, wait a minute. I don't see that only as a man, right? The big narrative that we have that's carried, for years. That's not just what a man is, right? We want to talk about some other things outside of the box. We want to talk about some things outside of the black and white. Wait, men are able to cry. Men are able to share emotions. It's not, you don't need to get the ick when a man shares emotions or cries or is vulnerable or has weakness or says, hey, I can't do this right now, or hey, I need a little breather, right? That is still a man, right? But again, as this snowball has built and as the narrative has strengthened, it's like, no, a man is this, right? Anything outside of that box, we're like, oh no, like, this is weird, this is gross, we don't want to talk about it, we get the ick, we should feel ashamed, right? But I have clients right now, and even family members that, you can express emotions and nothing happens. Poof, they don't cease being a man. It's like, oh wait, we can do this. And I think someone mentioned the word earlier is permission. These conversations that we're having are permission to be able to step outside of that box, outside of that black and white, to be like, hey, you know what? I can be a man and still cry. I can be a man and still struggle. I could be a man and need a breather. I can be a man and not have to carry everything. I can be a man and not know all the answers. I can be a man and not know how to fix. Yeah, absolutely. You still are a man. You have a permission to break that old narrative that has gained so much traction, and to start redefining. Okay, here's what it means to be a man.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I think it's. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, sorry. No, I agree with what you said. I like, even just with the idea of like just being in a box, because I think a lot of times culturally, I was taught in relationships like all I was supposed to do is provide.
Yeah,
that was it. Like, I provide. I'm supposed to bring home money. I didn't have any other real roles. Like, even a man as a nurturer, that was strange. And I hear conversations like that a lot, even in some podcasts and stuff like that. There's no roles outside of providing. And I think, like, I'm a Christian, and I think just from like what I've learned as I've read through the scriptures, it's kind of changed how I see men and providing. Because I feel like one thing that God showed me, has taught me is, yes, like, a man's supposed to provide, but God is our provider.
Mm.
Amen. I
He's
agree.
our provider. Yes, he's a provider, and he provides for the man, and the man's supposed to steward what God provides. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like, yeah, so he gives us the job, he gives us the finances, he gives us all those things, and then we're supposed to use it in the way that he decides for us to use it. That's what it means to provide. So like it's changed my perspective because it took like the pressure off of me. Because if I
Yes.
ever get sick or if I'm struggling, it's not, oh, I need to do this, I need to get this done, I have to, because then I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, and it's not going to help me at all. But I'm recognizing like God provides to me, I steward what he provides, and it takes that stress and pressure off myself.
Yeah.
And so now I don't have to worry about anything because I know God has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Andrew, I think the same way. And I agree. Christ is my foundation, and that's who I consult to carry the weight for me.
Yeah.
But as you said, Scripture calls us. Society has that external view of providing. So yes, the house, the money, and all this other stuff. We have fallen away from that spiritual providing. So I believe you get that from Christ, but also Christ calls the men to be the spiritual provider in their home.
Yeah.
So we've gone more into an earthly realm, and we have forsaken the Father, essentially. And so that's also why we feel more of the weight, because we're leaning more on the physical and less on the spiritual. And this is where I think, too, as a society of men, we're feeling it more. And in our homes, we're not stewarding things spiritually. And I think that's why it's so heavy.
Yeah.
Regardless of what our listeners and viewers believe in, having that spiritual foundation takes the weight off. But yeah, I think you look at society in the past. So you have baby boomers, you have Gen X. It was typical: go to war, provide financially, protect, and that's essentially how the world was. And I feel like as we've gone into the newer generations, the millennials, the Gen Z, I think times have changed so much that we're having this conversation because a lot of men have lost identity, have lost instability, have lost that emotional expectation as well. But I think due to those time changes, we've encountered a crisis where men are like, okay, is this all I'm supposed to do? Is this it?
Yeah.
And this is why we're in this battle. This is why we're going through it. But no one's giving us answers. I mean, we're helping, but right? So this is what I see.
I think that's such a beautiful question, Miss Crazelicious. And
Yeah.
our culture, our societal expectations definitely does affect people. We don't live by ourselves, we live in a community. And sometimes those expectations, those culture could be detrimental to our well-being, and it has been for men for over the years. And even with this conversation, we're trying to create a new culture. So yes, what we see growing up, what we experience in the community, what we see men to be like, oftentimes influences the way we behave, consciously or unconsciously. Maybe just seeing men not talking about their pain, trying to cope by drinking or get angry or fight, and just finding other ways. If we are not careful, we are bound to follow the same path. So just being conscious of it, being aware of it, gives us ability to step away from that and make sure we don't follow that path.
Yeah.
That we can create a new culture, we can
Yes.
create a new pattern, and we don't have to follow the scripts. We can see where that action leads, and we're
Yes.
trying to take a different direction
Yeah.
that's more safe, more
Yeah.
healthy, and less destructive.
Yeah.
That we don't have to end up in places where all this pressure weigh us down and crush us.
Mhm.
So that's a good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Something that I'm noticing, and maybe y'all have noticed as well, is with my clients, I'm noticing, you have society and culture, and then people experience that, and then there's this idea of legacy, right? As a father grows up in that society and culture and raises a son within that, I'm noticing that many of the people I talk to, client or no, not client, are dealing with this thing of here's what my dad passed to me, here's what he taught me. It's hard to break out of that when that's been the legacy passed to you. And so I really like, Kunle, what you're talking about. Is it's creating a new culture,
Yes.
creating a new dynamic, creating a new legacy, right? Like it's not too late to break that cycle. To break that generational pattern in your life of like, hey, no, let's redefine what it means to be a man. It doesn't have to, like, we don't have to stop being people who like to protect. We don't have to stop being people who do like to provide and be there, right? But we can also add stuff to it. We don't have to keep it in that little box. We can add to it. And I think this idea of legacy, it's also an encouragement, an invitation for
Yes.
men to be like, hey, we can leave a different legacy. We can start creating, we can start passing it down, we can start helping other brothers to create a new legacy of what it means to be a man who can still provide, who can still protect, but also can cry, can struggle, can talk about his pain, doesn't have to suffer in silence, right?
No.
Can share the weight with his partner or other brothers. Like I think that this idea of stepping into new legacy is great, and that would change some of the maybe cultural opinions and societal opinions. So I think that's a big one too.
Yeah, 100%. I think exactly what we're doing, having that open discussion, because we inherit so many silent contracts as men, as you mentioned, Josh. It's
Sure.
passed down through your grandparents, your father, and it gets passed down through the legacy. And now we're in a position where we can start a new legacy of
Mhm.
the men now and the men coming after us, of how things can be.
Yeah.
You feel much lighter. We can live in a society where we can communicate. We can build
Yeah.
communities where everyone can feel safe. Everyone
Mhm.
can be vulnerable. Everyone can release that weight that they have within
Yeah.
themselves. So,
Breaking those silent contracts. I like that.
yeah,
Breaking those silent contracts. We're doing that through this radio, this podcast. We're
yes,
doing that. I like that.
Well, oh,
Kunle, you're muted.
you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. I'll say this reminds me of my experience growing up in Nigeria.
Mm,
I in Nigeria, a lot of people play soccer. Soccer is
Hmm.
quite common, and
Yep.
every man is expected to play soccer or at least watch all the Premier League. And I just I used to do when I was much younger, but over time I just lost interest. And
Yeah.
then I remember I had a best friend also who wasn't interested, and we just hung out. When everybody goes to watch the soccer games, yeah, and I we just hung out. And I remember his older brother came one day like, "Are you guys okay? You don't watch soccer?" And it's almost like on call for like, "Yes, you can be a man and not watch soccer. You can
Yes.
be a man and not play soccer, and not have somebody elbow you." I think that was what turned me off. When I was playing, and my friends gave me elbow, like, just because of this ball, you're gonna kill me. I'm done.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes those societal pressures can be really hard. But in something as small as soccer, we're doing the same thing here. Just I think finding my best friend and realizing he doesn't watch as that gave me space. Like, okay, I don't have to pretend like I love it. I don't.
Yes.
So also men who felt like they can't really share what they've been going through. As we're having these conversations today, I hope you're learning that what you feel is valid.
Yes.
Yes, you can be yourself. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to mask. You don't have to put on that mask and pretend like this is who you are when that's not who you are. You can be yourself, and you can just let those pressure, those weights down.
100%.
well, I will tell you guys earlier you got a few praise break comments in the chat, just so you know. But Miss Crazylicious's second question was, what needs to change to make that weight more bearable for y'all? And how can or should that change show up in yourself and others?
Yeah, what needs to change? Talking about it, having space, having safe space. When we talk
Mhm.
about the what we're going through, what we carry, what we bring, having that validated, not dismissed. Oftentimes, a man can share something, women share something. People have more empathy for the lady. Oh, that's all you, which is good. But then when the man like, that's what you do as a man. What else do you expect? It can almost be dismissed. So we need to create space where men can share that, and that is that
Yeah.
is not dismissed, that is not
Mm.
put aside. So that helps to just be able to have that space and feel like, oh, I also can share. And we all can be supported. It's not putting one person over another or saying one person is more important. It's just having space, safety for all. So yeah, I think that's one thing we can do. Talk about it and have that validated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think not only opening up the conversation, I think that's great. I echo that. And I
Yeah.
think another thing to open up is kind of emotional expression. And I don't want to always put this on our women. Like I think of men who discourage other men from being emotional, from sharing. I think it's something that our men need to learn, whether it's our brothers, it's friends, it's other people that discourage us, and then what that does is it closes us down. So it's not just women that need to be able to talk about it or to allow us space to open up emotionally. I think men need to grow in um, being able to hear someone else express, hey, I'm sad right now. I'm struggling. I'm hurt. I had this argument. I didn't like what was said, and I feel like I'm demonized all the time, or I'm like this. And for a man to sit with his brother and be able to talk through that, to be a man to be able to have their brother cry with them and not shut them away or say, oh, you're just being weak or suck it up, but to actually engage in an emotional expression and experience with their brother is so important. So not to put all the blame or put anything on women, it's also men that
Absolutely.
need to open up the conversation and open up the space to experience emotionally with each other. Like, come on. The more that we can do that for each other, more we know, okay, this is valid, this is open, let's do this for each other. And then it just continues to grow, like, hey, I can trust a brother. Like, men are starting to learn that we can talk to each other about this stuff, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's men that contribute to men suffering in silence as well. And I just think we really need to open up for both men and women this opportunity for men to be able to experience and share emotions without it being taboo, without it being something that's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%, Josh. And I think we need to be more leaders of example. So we also can't just wait for our partners, our brothers, our friends to come to us. And even if we do have hesitancy, we need to start somewhere. And I think, that's why we're having this discussion. You, in some cases, need to be the person to initiate it. You need to allow that person to feel safe, but you also need to let them know, hey, I'm going down a path where I want to be vulnerable with you.
Yeah.
I want to let you know these things. I want to let you know the weight. So it's not all on me. We're
Yeah.
supposed to bear each other's burdens.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we have to start.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's important for us to have these conversations and even like let other men know that they're still doing well despite their whatever position that they're in. I think just even um, whether it's like our brother, our dad, cousin, like our partner, whoever, we need to let them know that they're doing well. Like they're making like 60,000 or $1 million, or um, they have like a used car, like the newest car on the lot. You're still a man. Like if
Yeah.
you don't have certain things, it doesn't make you less of a man.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have those conversations so that like men within any relationship, they understand that like, you know what, I am good enough. It's not based off of certain things that I have, but just me being present and being here, I'm good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a comment from Earl. When a man commits to enter into a relationship, he comes in as a protector and not a provider. And that is sometimes hard for a woman to understand, especially when she has been independent or from a family where the male structure was not manifested. The nature instinct of a man is protector, and if that is understood, it can build a solid foundation. Protector, not dictator. Any thoughts on this comment?
Yeah. I think my thing with these as well is there's no, I don't think any statement can be can be true in and of itself. Like it's not always as black and white. Like
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there is this natural desire and maybe instinctual thing to be a protector. But again, we can also add to that. What does it mean for a man to also be a nurturer? Like Kunle talked about
Yeah.
in terms of, it's
Mhm.
sometimes the mom and the baby and the man's in the background. How many people have heard like, oh, you're babysitting the kids tonight? No, I'm the father. I'm watching the kids. I'm not
Yeah.
babysitting, right?
Yeah.
Man as protector, yeah, that's great, and that might be very instinctual, but I think there is growth. I think, if you talk about things evolving, more things are true of a man today as society changes, as culture changes, as times change, as things again evolve. I think we can add more to what it means to be a man, not just, oh, you're solely protector. Because here's the thing: if I'm supposed to be protector and I'm going through, and men go through times of depression, of burnout, and their capacity is significantly lowered, then am I not a man because I can't step up in the way that I can if I was full capacity? Because I'm not able to protect in the way because I'm not strong at that moment. No, you're
Yeah.
still a man in those times. Yes, you're a protector, but you're also a human. You're also someone that can be hurting. You're also someone that can breathe. You're also someone that can express emotionally. This is not reducing or reduction of a man. This is making a man more holistic in in,
Yeah.
in, in ways. I think
Yes.
that's a more such a better picture. We're not taking away from it. We're actually adding. It's a holistic picture of a man. I'm not just one sided. I'm not just protector only. I'm protector, and I can be, yeah, protector, and I can be someone who cares for your emotional experience. I can be empathetic and nurturing and all these things. And so,
But that's what a provider is too, right? We look at
Yeah.
it as monetary. Do you provide that
good,
emotional
yeah,
relationship with
good.
your partner, right?
Mm,
Providing in so many different ways. Like
mm,
it's all physical, it's all monetary. But
mm,
this is it. You can be a protector. You protect their spirit, you protect their heart.
mm,
Being a protector and a provider on a more deeper level, at that spiritual level, we are supposed to be there. That's why these platforms are powerful, because we hope that more men can say, okay, listen, many people come from different walks of life. As
mhm,
you said, or like I read it, it's a powerful statement.
mhm,
And, there are women who might not have been exposed to that. There's men, as we've been talking about, who I've been told they can't express emotions. They can't be vulnerable. So I think we want to bring it together where we work together. And this is how we
mhm,
build a better legacy, where men can say, okay, I noticed my wife is going through something. How can I be there for her emotionally? Because I've been
mhm.
told not to be emotional. I've been told not to regulate my emotions, just suppress it. And as we
Yeah,
open the platform and we open the doors to that, I think it builds a better future, not just
yeah,
for us as adults, but for the kids.
yeah. It's
So
Yeah.
good.
I'm hearing we need to add to that, add to the providing. We need to also be protector,
yeah.
and also I think it's also important that we receive when to sit back and ask for help, or
Mhm,
sometimes even receive protection. Sometimes receive providing from a partner, from other people, because sometimes as men, yes, we like the action role. What the provider, what the protector, what the ones doing. It's important to also shift and receive, step back
mhm.
and receive, and let your partner, let the people in your life, let them care for you. Be the receiver as well.
Yeah,
Balance things. Yeah. So all these things are needed, and we need to put it all, keep adding to. You're not
mhm.
limited and not just by one side alone. So yeah, really great conversation. Thank you guys for these insights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Ro.
I know that you guys were sharing earlier about men being intentional about sharing about the weight that they've been carrying,
Yeah.
and I wonder, like, what? Firstly, I just want to encourage the men out there. Let me start there. You know, if your partner doesn't respond the way that you're hoping they're going to respond, don't give up,
Yes.
because the
But
last
we
thing I'd
also can't
want.
go into it as well. Sorry to cut you off,
Yeah, no,
Felicia.
no,
We
please
can't go
go
into it
ahead.
as well.
Yeah.
We put so much expectations on other people to respond and reciprocate in the manner we want. That's
Mhm,
also another
mhm,
thing that we need to realize as we are being vulnerable. Everyone, as Earl mentioned, there's people who have a different upbringing than you. How do we meet in the middle ground? No, most people are not going to respond the way you want them to respond, but as you work on that, as you showcase the vulnerability, as you tell them, look, these are some things that I need. I
mhm,
want to share with you. I want you to know where I'm at mentally, where I'm at spiritually. If I'm feeling broken, if I'm feeling weighed down, I want you to know those things. So, some of the ththings I may need from you is this, and it's that communication,
mhm,
so
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
100%.
Absolutely. Did anyone else want to kind of even give like a similar encouragement? Because I think this is like a important spot to kind of land because, vulnerability does come with risk,
Yes.
right? And especially if something hasn't been done a particular way, it may
Mhm.
take time to build in your relationships
Yeah.
because one, it's going to be like the first time maybe for some of our listeners where they're being like more vulnerable and they might not know what to do with it right
Mhm.
away, but it doesn't mean that if it's uncomfortable that it's
Yeah.
not the right thing to do. I'm going to
I,
throw
I think,
the ball
yeah,
back
I
to the
think
barbershop.
sure. I think I might struggle with this in a bit because I think sometimes if it's your first time really stepping out in this and you step out
Yes.
on that
Mhm.
vulnerability to have that shut down,
Mm.
Yeah.
can create this fight or flight, freeze, fawn, feign experience of you
Yeah.
retreating back in. And that's why I think, if not in your relationship, have a safe spot outside of that. Whether it is, whether if, like, let's say you are
Mhm.
Christian or spiritual, whether it is God, whether it is a brotherhood like this. Like, let's say in my relationship, my partner's great, but let's say in my relationship, I'm trying to be vulnerable and she's shutting me down and she's not responding the way I'm responding. Maybe I can be strengthened and have an anchor within this group, within God, of like,
Mm.
okay, you know what? That's okay that she didn't there. I still have some safety over here and I'll keep trying over here. But if I don't have an anchor or a safety or a reference point and I'm just getting
Mm.
denied all the time, I
Yes.
think
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
very hard for men to be like, oh, I'm just going to keep trying. No,
Mhm.
I'm going to retreat back to what was always normal, what was always safe, right? Sometimes there's safety in holding stuff in. We've learned to be there.
Mm.
It's
We use
familiar,
it as
it's safe.
armor.
Yeah, so I'm going to retreat back to there. But if I can have at least some place to
Mhm.
anchor, to receive, as Kunle talked about as well, then I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, I can be more persistent or resilient or keep trying in other places. But I might struggle with, having to continue if I have no reference point and I'm trying to be vulnerable for the first time and I get shut down.
Mm.
It's very hard to keep going in that. And so I think I advocate for find a safe spot. If you're trying it in your relationship for the first time and there's a potential where it's not going to go well, please find another safe spot where you can anchor, where you can be vulnerable, it can be received, where you don't
Mm.
always have to stand up, where you can actually receive other people's kind of grace and affirmation and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's hard to do it if you don't have those places, right?
Yes.
So true. That's powerful, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I also wanted to add on that. Yeah, um, just like just said, it's really important that social human beings are social, what social in nature, and social people is one of the most difficult people to control or to
Mm.
examine or to expect. So you might have certain expectations. The fact that you're going to get a response you want from your partner or the people you share to is not guaranteed.
Yep.
But we don't want that to
100.
dissuade you and make you not do what you need to do.
Hmm.
So I
Mhm.
like to use something we call radical acceptance,
Hmm.
learning to practice radical acceptance. Maybe you were vulnerable here and it was shut down, wasn't received. Accept that and be able to move on. What's within your control? What else can you do? Is there somewhere else you can share where it's going to be safe? You can test the waters. You can figure out the fact that you were shut down in 2, 3, 4, 5 places doesn't mean everybody's going to shut you down. We
Hmm.
want to try to find
Mhm.
another opportunity. Like just said, build a community, find one person that you could be vulnerable with, And if that's the only
Mm.
space, find an online group. You can be vulnerable. You can even start there. Start
Mm.
a Reddit where nobody knows your name. You could start there. Put it out there and but
Mm.
keeping it to ourselves and letting it pile up over and over again leads to negative outcomes. So we want to
Mm.
find opportunities. Don't give up. Radical acceptance. Find what you have control over. Pivot. Find ways to pivot.
Mhm.
And as you pivot, you're going to learn something magnificent out of that experience. And before you know it, you will be a coach of men. You will be help men
Yeah,
who are going through the same challenges and
Yeah.
help them navigate it. So
that's
there's
good.
always something you can learn. There's always something you can do. You're never completely stuck.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that support network, to have people that you can speak to, have brothers that you can speak to. Going to therapy,
Yeah.
having those safe spaces that you can have conversations and be vulnerable and not feel uncomfortable. And I think it's also important to recognize that, like, culturally, we've been a lot of us have learned not to speak up. Like our fathers, our grandfathers, our cousins, whoever. Like we've learned to keep things to ourselves. And a lot of women who have had fathers who did the same, and that's what they've learned. Like men don't really speak up about stuff. So like when a man speaks up, or if you're speaking up, it might feel weird or it might feel uncomfortable for them as well. So like
Mhm.
I don't think you should always take it as like she doesn't like me or she doesn't love me. It's just this is just normal for that person that you're with.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's why it's important to find like other spaces where it's safe for you to be vulnerable, and then hopefully at some point you can also be vulnerable with your partner.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can we be specific? Because, maybe when we talk about spaces where we can be vulnerable, maybe some things aren't even coming to mind for some of our listeners today. What are some spaces where people can test the waters, in their life? What are some ideas?
Yeah. I always like the idea. Sorry to jump in first again, but I always like the idea of mentorship. And I this is something that helped me when I was a teen going through my drug phase and all that kind of stuff, is finding a mentor who invited me into their home. And it might not have gotten vulnerable right away in terms of sharing deep, but even just that was just inviting me into their home to eat a meal, right? Inviting me on their porch to
Mm.
read scripture or whatever it was. Eventually it allowed me to open up, to share, to
Mm.
break the walls down. So and I know it can be hard to find a mentor. I know it can be hard to find someone, but again, as we have these conversations, we are people that are putting ourselves out there, that people can come to, right? And as more men have this conversation, more men are stepping up as mentorees. Is that what they're called? People who mentor.
Mm.
Yeah, they're mentors. And that people can actually take advantage of that. Um, I think opening up those spaces, I think that maybe that's something we need to bring back more. I always love the
Mm.
idea of, I'm not sure if there's any controversy with them, but I always liked the idea of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, of
Yep.
really providing someone there that's older, that has some experience in life, and you can create that relationship and build that vulnerability. But it doesn't just have to be an organization. Like, let's bring back the idea of mentorship, of connecting with someone maybe
Mm.
a bit older, a bit wiser, that wants to be that safe space. Maybe someone that has done the growing and the painful stuff themselves, that you can actually go to now. So
Yeah.
I really love the idea of mentorship. Anyone
So
else have any ideas as well?
Yeah, I think mentorship is amazing. I use that a lot. I steal mentors.
Yeah,
I find someone I really love, I admire, I'm gonna find a way to get myself into their hearts.
yeah.
So mentorship is great. Mentorship can be really can be a burden for some people. You
Mm,
don't have person, oh, can you be my mentor? Sometimes almost like they're taking
Mm.
responsibilities, but there are ways you can get in and they're actually your mentor, but just not having. So I use that. I steal mentors. I steal people's mentors. Yeah, so it's good. Another thing that I use friends. I talked about my childhood experience with my best friend. That was one person who I could share anything and everything with. And
yeah.
even today, although we're continents apart, we still once in a while something is we still reach out and do that.
no
And
watching soccer, huh?
Yes.
yeah, aside from that, I also have a group of men around my community here where I live. I think we're about 7 in the group, and
That's
we've been
amazing.
going on now for about a year, over a year. Yeah, where we just hang out every month. And these guys have come to become really good brothers. We have a chat group always going any day, anytime, any time of the day, midnight. I could just drop a comment and someone will respond. So just having those group of friends where I could share anything and everything is welcome. Yeah. So I just love that space. Sometimes it's just knowing that I have them helps me be able to just go through the challenges I'm going through. So I have another group where some men in another location where we meet maybe frequent, but this is a more diverse, bigger group. So what I'm saying is there are opportunities, there are people. Have it in mind. You're gonna find opportunity. You're gonna find people who you can connect with. You're gonna find people who you can trust. You just need to stay aware. If this is your interest, people are gonna come around, and you're gonna find the right people to be able to share and be vulnerable with. So just know that there are good men out there who would validate you, support you, care
Yes.
for you, mentor you, and don't give up.
Now, I do want to ask too, Josh Conley and Andrew as well. I know you mentioned a lot about mentorship and friends. So, someone listening to this, what if they say, I don't have anyone? I guess you guys have been exposed to obviously a lot more than I have. How can we help someone or direct them to find that support or to find that circle? Or, I mean, connect with people like us online? Or what have you done? When was that moment that you realized I could be vulnerable with these guys? I can release some of that weight. I found a mentor. When was that moment you realized I could be vulnerable? And Josh, I know you mentioned you weren't vulnerable at first, but it eventually came to that. So maybe if you guys can provide some not really actionable steps, but some direction.
Yeah. I think Kunle mentioned it with the key thing here is awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness of yourself, awareness of what's out there. I think for me, if I think myself as a young man, I think it was awareness that I needed something, right? So conversations like this, man, they plant the seed of like, oh man, maybe I do need something like that. And so the first thing was awareness of in my own self that hey, I think I need something. And then it was about placing myself in different situations because again I didn't really have anyone. I when I decided to get clean, I lost all those friends that were part of that life. I was kind of just on my own, and I started placing myself in different spaces. So there's the awareness of what's out there. I went to different meetings. I went to church. I know some people right now are joining like run clubs, or
Yeah.
some people go to the cafe and see someone just sitting there and they strike up a conversation. Some people might reach out to things like this and put a thing like, hey, can you chat on Zoom? Maybe you're not in the same country. Hey, can you chat on Zoom? Like just to have a little chat. Um, you know, Seeing what's out there, that awareness of different groups, spaces, um, um, even what's in your local area. Some people have been picking up like pickleball or something like that, or I won't mention soccer, but they're picking up like pickleball and stuff like that that they start to go to, and again, the pressure doesn't have to be. You don't have to bare your soul right away.
Yes.
You can grow in relationship. Like I said, I just connected with someone. We started out on his front porch, and eventually I was invited inside into to have dinners with them, and it's been a 10-plus year relationship. And I just had
Wow.
dinner on the beach with their whole family that I've watched all their kids grow up, and we still have this great relationship. Shout out to Ryan and Brittany and the family.
That's amazing.
But I think it's awareness in yourself that man, I need something like this, and then an awareness of what's out there, and that could be anything. Man, people do like board game nights, and
Yeah.
and and, and they do like there's different coaches online, different life coaches. Like there's a lot out there,
Yeah.
but again, it's conversations like this. Maybe it falls on us to really put it out there for people that there are tons of spaces and places that you can actually start this journey and start this process. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Yeah. For me, my dad died at an early age. He was an amazing dad, by the way. So, but he died early. And then when that happened, and I knew I needed men, I needed mentorship, I needed that guidance as a young man. And so what I did, I started with my brothers. I have two older brothers. Look to
Yes.
them, and then from there, there are qualities I know. Thank God, I got to spend time with my dad before he passed, so I know he's an amazing man. And I try to find similar qualities in other men I see. It could be,
Yes.
oh, he has this one quality of my dad, and I take that. It's almost like I was building my dad, taking different qualities from different people and learning. And so that really helped me to be able to connect to people. I was extremely shy though. I was extremely, but yet I knew I needed this. So I found a way to get to know this man. One point I actually met a man that I saw in the newspaper, I think, or TV, and a very successful. And I don't know how I did it, but I became close to him. He invited me. I traveled from state to state to go visit him in his office. He gave me a lot of his books, go sell. Like, I just find I got blessed with these relationships because I was seeking, I was searching.
Yes.
I
You
wasn't
took a
looking to
risk to
take
go
advantage.
out,
Yeah.
and you know you needed that, right? So
Yeah, I wasn't looking to take advantage. I wasn't reaching out and say, "Oh, give me money." No, no, no. I needed what they knew. I needed their lesson. I needed their experience. I needed that relationship. That was what I was looking. So you also don't want to ask your mentor some money. Oh, can you give me money? You
Yes.
just make yourself not. Look for the value. Let them teach you how to fish. Let them teach you what's in their mind.
the intangible things.
Yeah, being with them, spending time with them, you're gonna pick up on a lot of things that you're gonna need for life, and that also allows you to be able to watch. So I add like I said, my dad died. I don't know, how do I become a man? How do I raise kids? I watched so many men raise their own kids. I watched so many men. They invited me into their home. I would sleep there, stay with them. And then I'll compare notes and see, oh, which one do I like most? How do I combine? I like what this man, the man do not lead his family. So I got a lot of practical experience to be able to fill that gap that I didn't have as a young man because my dad died early. So there is always a way, as long as you're willing, look out, you're going to find people that are safe. And sometimes it might even be women. It's okay to also connect with women. Can also support you. There are things you need from men. There are things you need from women for you to be able to learn to be vulnerable and share. It might be a safe space to connect with some women in your community, in your area, in your church. When I was gonna I used to be an accountant, transition into this field. It was a woman I reached out to. I Googled and I found, oh, there's a professor in York University. She's Nigerian. Send an email. Today we've never met. Send an email. This is and she mentored me, gave me guidance. And when I went, I got my master's degree. I emailed her again. Thank you for the information you gave me 3 years ago. Now I'm practicing that. And she was good. She was glad. So that's the gift you give your mentor. You get information from them, use it well, produce results, and give them feedback. That's their joy.
Yes.
You don't just take and go. You have to also give back. Yeah. But yes, there are people around, men, women, reach out to them, find ways to make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah. No, I love what you just said. I think like even when I started coming into church, there were a lot of men who were like offering to mentor me. And at that point I was like, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. And like it was me just being prideful, to be honest. And I had to learn to like humble myself and just be like, you know what, let me accept that help. And I did notice like a huge change in my life when I started accepting that help. So yeah, there's always people around that do want to help you, that do want to mentor, that do generally care about young men in general. And you have people here. There's a bunch of male therapists here, right? There's a bunch of male professionals here. You can always like reach out to us. You can email us and say like, yo, like what places can I go to? How can I get help? Don't feel like we're not going to help you or like we don't care about you or anything. Like be vulnerable, be open. Don't be afraid. Yeah, we're here.
It's good.
So good.
And we have Dudley who says, very good conversation. We have a lot of great love in the chat. We did have a question from Lavina who asks, in what ways can women support their partner's mental and emotional growth? And while you guys think, we have 15 extra minutes, guys. We got an extension. Yeah. You don't have to rush.
When you're having fun, right? It's a
That's
good conversation.
Yeah. I would say just be open to listening to your person, or your father or your brother. I think a lot of times when we listen to people, we're automatically thinking about what we should respond to or how we should respond. And a lot of times we're not even responding to what that person actually said, and that can shut them down as well. So I think it's important to learn to actively listen, to take a step back and just be like, what are you actually trying to say to me?
Mhm.
And if that is difficult, what I've had people do sometimes is just writing out like what the person's saying as they speak.
Yeah, it's good.
And if saying like, okay, is this what you were saying to me? And if the person's like, no, that's not what I'm saying, can you please tell me again what I said so I can write this down,
Mhm.
write it down, and then respond after that. Because that
Yeah.
makes it easier to have those conversations without being in your head and focusing on what you're going to say
Yeah.
instead of focusing on what that person's saying to you.
It's good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I think to even piggyback off that, because I think that's honestly great. I think of the work I do with my clients, and a pattern that I recognize is that a lot of men feel misinterpreted or misunderstood in their intentions and their actions and their words, right? It's like, I did this to support you and it was taken in a whole different way. And so I think that listening piece and opening up the conversations and that kind of stuff, really trying to understand. So if it is that writing out piece, like, or even the writing out, or even kind of verbalizing back, like, hey, this is how I felt. Is this what you were trying to do? Is this what you were trying to say? And giving the man the opportunity to share his actual intentions, to share his actual feelings behind it. I know some men have showed vulnerability in such different ways, not always just kind of vocally, but it gets misinterpreted or misunderstood. And so really, really growing in that, how do I understand? And that's, again, listening, reiterating back, so that men can feel like, oh yeah, you know what, like, I really did feel listened to and understood, and that I didn't feel like my character was demonized, or I felt kind of misinterpreted, and therefore I'm just a bad partner or whatever. It's like, no, I really feel understood by my partner, and therefore I feel supported by my partner, and therefore I feel like I can share with my partner and be vulnerable with my partner, and that we can be this team, and I can be open up, and oh my gosh, now I can, even outside of the relationship, I feel like I can open up and share. So I really think being understood and listened to can really help show men that they're supported and that they want to then open up all the more with you. Yeah, I think that's
100%. And I think, in general, at least for me, I could only speak for myself. When a man comes to you to actually be vulnerable, he thought about it in his head probably for weeks.
Yeah.
So when for weeks,
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but I was like, what?
he
That
thought
shook me,
about
guys.
the communication. For me, it festers long enough, and you're like, okay, let me be vulnerable.
Wow.
And when that happens, once again, I'm just speaking for me. Chances are he's thought about it. But in
Wow.
some cases, if it's just personal, it's somewhat different. If it's
Yeah.
relational, and he's like, I want to work on the marriage, I want to work on the relationship, it's hard to not see it emotionally, but you have to be able to actively listen in that moment, because that's what will pull the man back. And then that's when you get all the short words. How are you? I'm okay. I'm good. So it's those moments men tend to think of things and try to be careful. What is the cost of me communicating? And obviously we want to have that safe space. That's why we want to have this discussion. But in terms of how we can help each other, chances are it's been in the mind saying, is it a risk to be vulnerable, or am I in a safe space? At least I'm speaking for me. I don't know if the other guys have gone through that, but
I'm glad I'm not the only one that's shook, because Levine and Miss Crazy Licious are right there with me with all these emojis. So thank you for dropping that, because I
that's
never
me.
thought about that. Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
Yeah, I
Have
think
you been there, or
yeah, you're right. You've thought about it for weeks, or maybe even
Wow.
decided, talk to other people before deciding to. It's not just spur of the moment. Yeah. So I also like to add to that to say one of the ways you can support is you or the women actually taking care of their own mental health. So you taking care of yourself, that's one way you can support the man in your life. You making sure that you can adequately deal with maybe issues or challenges or just things that have come up for you. Because if you don't do that, when it comes to talk, your stuffs will get in the way. It's gonna be hard to be present and listen. It's gonna be hard to really give him that safe space because you're overthinking. So just you taking care of yourself gives you that space, that capacity to be able to maybe hear him out. Also, that could be something that maybe shows an example that he
Mm.
can learn from. He sees you take care of yourself adequately, take care of your mental health, and that can inspire him and he can learn to want to do the same. So, yes, you taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, and just being a good example can be something that really helps your man take care of his mental health.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, you're in a marriage or relationship, your real sign of love is I have to take care of me for you, and you have to take care of you for me, because you want two whole individuals where you can release that weight, you can strengthen each other, and that's huge there, Kunle. I think that's one of the key aspects we need to identify for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was actually agreeing with what you said earlier. Yeah, because I was just, even as you were talking, like, it does, for me to be vulnerable, it might take me like a few weeks. Like, I could just imagine if someone's like afraid of dogs and someone's like, "Yo, go pet it." You're not gonna go do it right away. You're gonna think about it. Think about, like, okay, this dog could bite me, could tear me apart, I could get mauled, and then eventually you'll go into wherever that dog is and decide to pet it. It might jump on you, right? And that'll freak you out. But yeah, no, it does take time to get that courage to be able to do something. And if that dog does bite you, you're not gonna go back in there again. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're just be like, yo, you know what? I'm never doing this again. Like, this doesn't feel safe.
Perfect
So, like,
analogy. It's true. It's so true.
yeah. So it's that's why it's important to, like, yeah, with your partner, like, yeah, just like listen to them, like, allow them to feel safe, allow them to feel comfortable. Don't bite them. Definitely don't bite them. But yeah, just allow them to feel safe.
I think the thing here that I'm noticing, even as I think of my clients, is like, man, I have some couples that I've worked with in the past where even within all the issues and the resentments, they want to work together, right? Like they want what I call with my girlfriend is I want to be a team. And it's this idea of if we can learn balance and team and to balance the weight. So maybe, as Matthew was right, maybe there is a weight that we do naturally carry as people in this world, but learning to balance this weight as a team, to know, like, oh man, maybe there's a season where I have low capacity as the man, right? And I don't just have to suffer in silence. My partner comes in and they help balance that weight. And then when my partner's going through it and I have a higher capacity, learn to balance that weight. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect balance, because I know for some people that word is iffy, but I think finding rhythms or balance that I just know people wanna work together. Your man wants to be vulnerable with you. He wants to be a teammate with you. He doesn't want to just always respond in anger or in ways that he's taught through legacy. I think as we could open this up for each other, as Kunle says, even the woman could be an example. I think as we open this up for each other, as we support each other as this team of how to open up conversations and difficult conversations and sharing and being vulnerable and apologizing. There's a big one.
Yeah.
And all these kind of things that we find a nice ebb and flow, a nice rhythm. That's what me and my girlfriend have been doing, and we find that it works. It's not always easy,
Yeah.
but we just want to be a team. We don't want to fight. We don't want to do these. We don't want resentments. We don't want stuff to build. We want to be a team. And so let's find out how to balance or find a rhythm within the weight. And that's just an encouragement to both men and women here of, like, I know y'all love each other. I know y'all want to do this. So let's step out and help each other be vulnerable together.
I love that. I wrote this in my notes, just to expand on that. How do we separate the weight that enriches a relationship from the baggage that breaks us down?
Yeah.
Oof.
And it's similar to what you're mentioning, right? It's okay that we're all going to carry weight.
Yeah.
How do we support each other?
Yeah.
When moments we're at 40%, our partner's at 100 or 80. how do we balance that weight up, or how do we be more in alignment? Because I know balance is like a frowned upon term now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how do we separate the weight? How do we identify? I think obviously it's self-awareness. How do we identify as partners? What kind of weight are we carrying together?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's good.
yeah.
Yep. And coming back to what Matthew said earlier on, the man has thought about it for weeks. And if he's thought about it for weeks, just know that what he shared, there's a lot more. So your reaction, your response to that determines whether he's going to share more. And like the analogy of Andrew, if you're scared of getting beat by a dog, you're not just going to go and hug the dog. You're going to start with your finger, just pet with your finger. Okay, I'll play with my palm. So
Yeah.
you're not just gonna go and so the man has thought about it for weeks. So
Yeah.
what he shared is just the tip
100%.
of the iceberg. Your response, your reaction determines whether you're gonna get the rest of it. And the reaction, then the rest is just zip up. Nothing else is coming out. Yeah. Because nobody wants to get bitten by a dog twice. Yeah.
No,
Using that analogy.
it's true. So true.
True.
I love it. Don't bite them.
Levine.
Oh, man.
My cheeks actually hurt. Oh my
Alina.
And I'm thinking about one finger, and I don't
Yep.
know.
Oh, man.
Scared of dogs.
We'll play this back and we'll add reenactments of someone trying to pet the dog
Yes.
in animation.
That's true.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, when you think about everything that we've talked about tonight, if you guys wanted to leave one thing with our listeners tonight as we start to wind down, what do you want to leave with the Love Bay family tonight?
I think I could say set aside moments for self-reflection. The work happens within. The work starts with you. And you've heard a lot of these sayings before, but in this scenario, it's what's the cost of opening up and being vulnerable? And ask yourself realistically, what's the cost of staying silent? And if you're carrying weight that's breaking you down, staying silent, you're just going to become a broken person. So you need to really, we talked about awareness. You need to literally find time for yourself. You need to find time for self-reflection. And I think you need to give yourself grace and humility. It's not about beating yourself down. It's saying, okay, these are things not just that you want for yourself, but you want to show up for others. And it's give and take. You take and you feed into others. And I think the self-reflection is key. Learning to feed into that awareness. And then that's where things begin to grow. I was talking to Felicia before. This guy I follow called Myron Golden, he talks about our growth like a tree. And when we plant the tree doesn't grow up first. The roots grow down.
Yes.
And so we don't see the big tree that we see when it's fully grown. The root system has to be fully grounded and ready to manage the tree. We just see the beauty. We see the fruits that it bears, but we don't see the roots. And we need to do more of that root work. And that's self-reflection.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
I think the word that, I think the word that came up for me was, or two words. I think permission and support. I think so. I forget who mentioned permission, but permission to come out of the box or the narrative that men have been put in. Permission to redefine what it means to be a man. Again, not reducing, but even just adding to a holistic idea of what it means to be a man that has permission to struggle, to cry, to not be okay all the time. I think hearing conversations like this, maybe some people just need, hey, it's okay. Here's your permission. Here's your encouragement. Here's your invitation. And then the support is finding those spaces and places and people, kind of like Conley talked about with the different groups and friendships that he has, where this can be actualized, where this can be mirrored, right? Mentorship, like I find people that have already maybe been through this and they can mirror this for me. Certain friends I can actualize this with. We can actually start that together, start this journey together. I have a friend that we as we started in relationship, we started talking about little things, and then it got into deeper things, praying for each other, talking about each other's struggles, encouraging one another, right? So it doesn't have to be quick, like it doesn't have to be like this, but again, giving places where that permission and the stuff we're talking about can actualize, it can tangibilize, it can be something that we actually experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just like what we were talking about earlier, just redefining the culture.
Mhm.
No longer uh, believing that, like, yeah, like I can only, uh, like, because of like what the culture says, like I can only be a provider. I can be nothing outside of that. Um,
Mhm.
just having those discussions and understanding that you're more than just a provider. And just because like you make less, or like it's not just about materialism, it's about like providing when it comes to emotion. It's like there's more to being a man. You can be a nurturer as well. Um, and again, opening up, um, finding those safe spaces, support, like Josh just said, um, and like reaching out to us. Like there's people that genuinely care about you. You don't have to do it by yourself. And we wouldn't be here if we didn't care about nobody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like just recognize that there are people that care about
100%.
you. So be okay with opening up and being vulnerable and reaching out to people who genuinely want to help you.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think said it so well. I also want to round off with culture, just understanding that culture plays a huge part in who we are. So the culture you've been experienced in, the culture you grew up in, if it's something not too positive, just know that you can change it. You can change the culture. You can create a new culture.
Mhm.
You can set a new expectations. You can begin to pivot and make things in the right way. If you've had some shortcomings, maybe you didn't have mentors growing up, you didn't have a father figure, you can change all of that. You're
Mhm.
not stuck. You're not finished. It's not done. You can pivot. There's
Yeah.
always the way you can create a new culture. So as long as there's life, there is hope.
Mhm.
And there you have it, Love Bay family. Our second Barbershop Tuesday has come to a close. And thank you so much to our amazing panel. Uh, you know, we love you guys. So this is going to be a monthly thing, guys. So please stay tuned. Next week, we also have two powerhouse speakers that will be coming to share their insight with us, especially as it relates to bullying in the school system and how to navigate that as parents. So until next time, Love Bay family, peace out.
See ya.
Bye, everyone. Be
Bye.
blessed.